Alrighty, let's get started. So, hey there. Thanks for joining us today for a virtual meet and greet with Rachel Peace. Rachel is running for Congress in New Jersey in the 4th Congressional District. She's running up against Chris Smith, who's been in the seat for 45 years. Rachel is a relative newcomer to politics, but she has accomplished a lot. I don't want to tell this whole story myself, so I'm going to hand it over to Rachel. Rachel, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? So it looks like we're having a technical difficulty here. Hey there, Rachel. Can you hear us?
I can. Thank you so much for putting this together, Frank.
Of course. All right, so let's get started. I gave a little bit of an introduction. Rachel, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Well, first, can I just say hello to whomever is on the call? Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being interested in the very beginning of the process. I'm not a politician. I'm a regular person. So this is all new to me. I had no concept of a convention or a county party or committee members or delegates or a town democratic clubs, any of this. So I'm learning as I go, and I just appreciate that you all were already here doing the work as, representatives of your community and giving them a voice and getting engaged from the very beginning. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be stepping up to do this. So, okay, a little bit about me. My name is Rachel Peace. I'm 33 years old. I am a millennial single mom and an entrepreneur. I was born and raised here at the shore. I'm from Bricktown originally, and now I'm raising my little guy in Monmouth County. Um, a little bit about my career. A lot of people have asked me, what is it that you do the rest of the time when you're not running for Congress? I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a small business owner, and I have a background in public relations. I graduated from Hofstra University back in 2014. And I immediately started working in the field. I worked with a lot of hospitality and entertainment clients in public relations. Then I ended up going in-house at New York City's tourism board. So all of the programs that everybody here at the shore knows and loves, Broadway Week and Restaurant Week, I got to have a hand in those, which was really amazing. And then, of course, the pandemic hit, and I was laid off 7 months pregnant. That was probably my first taste of how maybe our healthcare shouldn't be tied to our employers. Just a thought. I ended up getting back into the workforce about 13 months later. I had used the pandemic program to take out my entire 401k, and I lived off of that so I could spend the first year of my son's life home with him, which is a luxury in America. And it has set me back financially, but I still got that time with him that, I would never get back. And something that people in a lot of other countries have as a guarantee, which again is something that I want to fix for American families. After that, I went back into the workforce. I got into public affairs because I felt like I wanted to move away from tourism and into something that would have a bigger impact on people who were facing discrimination, being marginalized, being hurt by America's broken systems. After that, I went ahead and I started my own business because I realized I needed to have flexibility to be able to raise my son, spend quality time with him, and also leave an abusive relationship. I am a survivor of domestic violence, and I do say survivor. A lot of times people use the word victim, and I'm not a victim. I rose above that experience and I made life work for me, but it shouldn't have been so hard. And I've also witnessed firsthand a lot of broken systems in going through that process. So now I have my small business and I help nonprofit executives and also CEOs and founders of really cool, innovative startups that are fixing problems for people and for our planet with their thought leadership, their LinkedIn presence, their media relations. And I can do all of that around pick up and drop off while my son is in preschool, which where I live, my son has access to universal 3K and 4K. So preschool starting from the age of 3, which has again been an unbelievable asset for me and being able to afford being a single mom who does not get child support, unfortunately, because again, our system is broken and seems unenforceable. And yeah, so I also, while, running my own business and taking care of my little kiddo, started getting super involved in activism, or advocacy is really a bit of a better word choice there, over the course of the past year and change. And so I'll pause here because I feel like I've talked quite a bit about my background just so that everyone knows me a little bit better. And I'll let Frank ask me the next question.
Well, thank you. Well, can you tell us a little bit then, now we know your background, why exactly you're running for Congress?
That is the perfect segue. So, as I started getting involved in advocacy here in Monmouth and Ocean County, I kind of just fell into it. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I knew I needed to do something. I found out that, healthcare and food services were at risk for kids and families and individuals, and I was like, this is not okay. So what do I do? And I ended up contacting Frank Pallone, who is a Democratic member of Congress here at the Jersey Shore, and asking him like, "Hey, how can I get involved?" And when I told him that myself and my son are on New Jersey Family Care, I was invited to join a press conference with him and tell people a little bit about our story to humanize the issue. And from there, it was just this snowball effect. So I ended up doing town halls and democratic clubs, which again, I hadn't known existed. And then another empty seat town hall. This one was organized more by grassroots organizations. So New Jersey Citizen Action, Jersey Shore Blue, a local indivisible chapter. And I kind of started to be exposed more to the world of grassroots organizing, which was also really compelling because there's different avenues for how we can tackle problems in our country. And some people think, oh, it's just government, or, oh, it's just grassroots organizing. And it's like, really, they all have to kind of work together to fix what's broken. So through grassroots organizing, I had the opportunity to grassroots organize 2 campaigns in Monmouth and Ocean County, where I got regular people, including my campaign manager, Frank, who was one of my friends who ended up coming out and organizing with me. And we went to the commissioners in Ocean County and in Monmouth County. And everyone had said to me, what, why are you going to do that? That's impossible. Um, Both of the county commissioners, the boards, if you're not familiar, they're all GOP officials. And so folks were like, you're not going to be able to get them to do anything about federal legislation that's been proposed by the party that they are affiliated with here at the shore. And I said, you know what? I refuse to accept impossible. Let's give it a shot anyway. And so dozens of people from all different backgrounds came out and talked to them. And I remember distinctively the director in Ocean County being like, wow, you guys aren't like what they say you're like on TV. You guys aren't hooting and hollering, I think you may have said. But we just had these conversations, and it was a really human experience. And all of us kind of walked away from the first board meeting we went to being like, wow, is this how democracy is supposed to feel? You remember that, Frank? We were like, oh, we're making a difference. We're getting through to them because they told us, it doesn't matter what party we're in. We hear you. We agree with you. These pieces of legislation would hurt Ocean County. It's not right for Ocean County. We support you. We're going to call Congressman Chris Smith. We're going to call Congressman Van Drew, and we're going to back you guys up and pass this resolution. So it felt really good initially. And then we came back. And what had happened was the Asbury Park Press had covered what we had accomplished, and it was such a big deal that USA Today picked it up. And once that happened, Chris Smith decided to get involved. So he gave them some strongly worded talking points. And then he sent the head of the Republican Party for Ocean County out to monitor the board meetings. And it went from this warm, receptive environment to it was like talking to walls. And they never followed through on the promises that they made to us. And from that moment on, I was like, okay, Cory Booker can tell us until he's blue in the face that the people have more power than the people in power. But when it comes to actually legislating and passing laws and controlling our tax dollars and the money that we pay to the government to make our lives better, we don't. We can scream at them. We can shout at them. We can get on 5 calls and say, hey, this is not all right. I have a script if I'm overwhelmed, or I can post on social media. I can write a postcard. I can protest outside of offices, and they will still do whatever they want to if it keeps them in power. And that was for me. I was like, okay, I guess I need to run for office. And I will say that happened in Ocean County, but in Monmouth County, again, an all GOP board of commissioners, they passed the resolution opposing the big beautiful bill right here in Monmouth County in a totally Republican controlled committee. And so, or board of commissioners. And so for me, when people say, you can't beat Chris Smith, he's been in office for 45 years, this is the reddest district, I'm like, okay, let me try. I think I can. And so I want to bring people together. And I think that real people deserve real representation, and that I'm not a politician. I'm going to say that again. I'm doing this to be a public servant and to help our community. So I think I answered your question.
I would say so. All right. Well, Ocean and Monmouth County are both pretty red districts. So how would you plan on connecting with Republican voters?
It's a really good question. It's a question I get constantly. And what I would say is, first of all, if anyone can do this, it's me. For those of you who don't know, which probably anyone watching this doesn't, you don't really know me yet, which is the whole point of this call. I was raised in a very GOP household. We were born again believing Christians who believed in the sanctity of life. I literally fundraised for pregnancy centers here at the Jersey Shore growing up. And we watched Fox News every night. And we, it was a very, very Republican household, I will say. And many of my family members are still registered Republicans. And so I talk to people who are Republicans all the time, and it's a muscle, and you have to work it. You have to constantly and actively and intentionally have really hard and uncomfortable conversations, which I think as a whole society has stopped doing. In the decade or so since kind of Donald Trump came into the political scene, we very quickly learned that like you're going to be having really fractious conversations over the Thanksgiving dinner table with your cousin or your aunt. And so people stopped trying, and people are angry. And I understand why they're angry. I'm angry. But I can't let my own personal emotions get in the way of the outcomes that I want, which is to represent our community and everyone in our community, not just people who agree with me. And so in order to do that, I have to connect with them. And I have to have conversations with them. And I do every single day. I talked to a Republican at the gym like 2 days ago. And by the end of our conversation, we got to the fact that it's the immigration system that's broken, and it's not the immigrants who are the problem. I talked to a young man who is a registered Republican in his 20s, and he's in the ministry. He is going to become a pastor. His number one issue, he told me, was sanctity of life. And I said to him, hey, Chris Smith, you're member of Congress. He's been in office for 45 years, and he's actually the co-chair of the pro-life caucus in Congress. He said in 45 years, has he accomplished what you wanted? Which, in his mind, it's a national abortion ban. And he was like, well, no. And I said, right. What if we went about things in a better way and we tackled this problem that you have from a different angle, which is that you want little kids to come into this world and then presumably live a good life. I'm a single mom. I love little kids. My son is part of why I'm doing this. I want to make a better world for him. And so let me tell you, as a single mom who's like experienced all of the broken systems in our country, if a woman had an unplanned pregnancy and she knew that she would have guaranteed paid time off after she gave birth, she knew that there would be universal child care that she could access. She knew that there would be 3K and 4K pre-K. She knew that her kids would be able to see the doctor if they got sick. If all of these broken systems were repaired or redesigned, women would choose bravely to become parents without the support of a partner, because they would know that the community would support them and the government would support them, and that all of us who pay tax dollars are paying into our kids and the next generation. So again, I genuinely believe that if you can have conversations and find a door and open it, you can get somewhere with Republican voter. He wanted to sign my petition to get on the ballot. And I was like, I'm sorry, like it's a very partisan process. And unfortunately you can't, but like, I hope that you'll vote for me if I make it to the general and you see peace on the ballot. And now he wants to be part of a like Christians for Peace, coalition here at the Shore. So what I'm going to be doing is building a lot of coalitions and bringing people together around shared values and coming up with a better way to solve problems. And I do want to acknowledge for anyone who's hearing this and is like, well, that sounds all well and good, but like I've tried talking to people and I am not getting anywhere. And I would say to you, me too. someone in my immediate family is not going to be voting for me. Okay. But someone else in my immediate family who is also a registered Republican, whose number one issue is sanctity of life, voted for Mikey Sherrill after I spent a year talking to them about other issues and said to me they will vote for me because now they feel they're more of a Democrat than they've possibly ever been. So we're getting somewhere. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy, and it takes having really uncomfortable conversations. And you can't reach everybody, unfortunately, right? There will always be racists, there will always be bigots, there will be billionaires, which I don't know any billionaires. But for people who were like, I just want cheaper eggs, I get it. I've overdrafted or had to put things back when I'm checking out for me and my son at the grocery store. For people who are uninformed, again, I grew up in a Fox News watching household. I understand that you hear a totally different biased version of the narrative, just like my 90-year-old neighbor, sweetest lady. We're really good friends, and I pick stuff up for her at the grocery store and we talk, and we've had conversations about the things that she thinks are happening for seniors and the things that are actually happening. And she was like, wow, like, I think I need to look into this. Like, she listens, right? And then there's people who were just like, I am sick of politicians. Okay. And I've had those conversations too. My best friend's brother and sister-in-law, our kids all play together. They're really nice people. And they voted for Trump because they're tired of our partisan, government. They're tired of feeling like everybody is on the same team behind the scenes. They're all bought and sold, and they have these special interests and these companies and these billionaires funding them. And like, I get it because I'm seeing it as I'm getting into this process. It's really hard and it requires a lot of money, which I don't have personally. And that's by design. They don't want regular people like us in Congress. But I'm trying to change that. So yeah, there's a lot of Republicans who can be reached. We can't treat them like they're a monolith. People have different motivations. So there's that. And I'm sorry if I'm going on for too long, but beyond just being able to talk to people who have a different perspective or vote a different way than you, we have to stop expecting that people are just gonna appear and get civically engaged. Life is really hard. People are in survival mode, like everyone is in survival mode. They are bombarded all day, every day on social media, in the news, in conversation, in society with everything that's wrong and all of the division and all of the brokenness. They don't want to then seek out more politics, for sure. So while I'm campaigning, I'm going to where people go. So Mondays, we're going to do Mondays with moms at the park. Tuesdays, we're going to go Tech Tuesdays. I'm going to be doing my client work in a coffee shop and also talking to other people like me. Wednesdays, it's going to be Wisdom Wednesdays. I want to go to senior centers and senior retirement living communities, nursing homes, sing with them, dance with them, talk to them about their issues and things that they remember from their lives that I wasn't around for. Thursdays, Thirsty Thursday, I'm going to meet people who work a 9 to 5 and want to go have a beer after work. Fridays, we're going to go to restaurants in the community and we'll do family style. We'll get like nice big tables and we'll break bread and we'll talk about kitchen table issues. So I really just, in all of this, I want to have conversations with people and I want to work to undo some of the division. There's no way, there is no path to victory in Congressional District 4 that does not include Republicans, that does not include unaffiliated voters, because we are very, very, very vastly outnumbered in our district. And so people will say, no one's done this. No one's ever been able to do this. How are you going to do this? And I'm like, well, that's how, by getting people who vote differently and think differently to talk to us, to meet them and to get somewhere together, somewhere better. Just because it's always been this way doesn't mean it always has to be this way. And there is a better way for our community to be governed and represented.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm happy that you mentioned unaffiliated voters as well. Just like Republicans, there's a very large swath of unaffiliated voters in Ocean and Monmouth counties.
Yep, there are more unaffiliated voters than Democratic voters. It goes Republican, unaffiliated, Dem, right? And I was just getting my oil changed a couple days ago. I was in Shrewsbury and I was doing some client work on my laptop while I was waiting. And then they said it was done. And I was like, you know what, let me pull out my little handy dandy clipboard, see if there's anyone here that I can get to sign my petitions. Because for those who don't know, you need to get at least 500 signatures to get onto the ballot in the primaries. And in fact, you're actually advised to get anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 because politics is dirty and they will try to invalidate signatures if somebody signed who like accidentally lived across a gerrymandered border, or if somebody who was a Republican signed and they're not a registered Democrat, so they can't, so it's a big process, and I have to talk to people. Again, you have to work that muscle, and you have to be talking to people here on the ground at the shore. And I talked to 3 unaffiliated voters and 3 Republican voters. There was not a single Democratic voter sitting there with me, but I talked to every single one of them, and I had some really tough conversations, but I felt good doing it because I'm understanding the way people are thinking and we're getting somewhere. Every single one of the unaffiliated voters wanted to sign my petition. One of the Republican voters is really sweet, and we talk all the time. He's like my service guy. His name's Miguel. He's been working there 23 years. He works 10-hour days. He lives in Toms River. Long story short, the other 2, they didn't want to sign my petition. I'm not going to lie. But we had really, really hard conversations about immigration, about the affordability crisis. And this has to be done. We have to talk to them. So that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. So next question. What creative, out-of-the-box, brand new ways are you thinking to make meaningful change within the district, the county, the country?
Thank you for asking that. And actually, I want to address something which people may be like, who do you think you are running for Congress when you've literally never even held a local office? Which, like, I hear you. But what I would say to that is I cannot fix broken systems that govern everything and trickle down to us at the local level, unfortunately. And I value everyone on the local level, the school board, the committee members, the mayors who are doing the work here locally. And I will be an ally to them, and I will ask them, hey, what do you need? What's going on? How can I get you grants? How can I get funding back to the district? And then at the same time, I want to work on the big issues and broken systems. And what I'd say to people is, again, just because something is the way it's always been does not mean it's the way it will always have to be. And there is a better way. And for anyone who doesn't know, I'm neurodivergent. And so I will go down ADHD rabbit holes, and the amount of research I have done into each of our broken systems and how we could fix them. For instance, immigration's not hard to fix. It just requires the willpower. The problem is the visas that are available right now, you either have to be a really skilled worker and have an employer here in the States sponsor you, or you have to be seeking asylum and you have to prove that you directly were targeted, not just that you're living in a gang violence environment or something like that. And what's missing is the middle, which is what actually immigrants are doing often when they're coming here, which is we have some really essential industries that underpin our society when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to caretaking, and so on and so forth. And those are roles that often Americans don't want or they're not pursuing. And that's because they're really hard labor and they're not well paid. They're not well compensated. They're being paid under the table. And who is that benefiting that there isn't a visa for this forgotten middle of migrants? It's benefiting the people who aren't paying them properly. And it's benefiting politicians because then they get to sow division and fearmonger and scapegoat all of our economic issues onto immigrants who are actually contributing to our economy, paying an insane amount of tax dollars that they don't benefit from because they can't access any of our programs. And I'm like, this was literally the core of why America was founded. No taxation without representation. So this is, again, a very broken system that could be fixed. But where there's a will, there's a way, and there's no will, because then they don't have those talking points and their system where they get to underpay people. And so I think if we had a base wage that everybody has to be paid around the country, a minimum wage that kept up with the cost of living and with inflation, and then that was adjusted based off of different, demographic areas, because like if you live in the suburbs in Jersey or in New York City on the East Coast versus if you live in somewhere more rural, the cost of things is very different. There are ways to fix our problems. It's just that nobody wants to. Let's look at healthcare, right? A lot of people don't know, 80 years ago this summer, the Surgeon General for the United States of America hosted people from all over the world. It was like dozens and dozens and dozens of countries came here, and we hosted them in New York City, and everyone signed this agreement that healthcare is a human right. We presided over the meeting 80 years ago this summer. All of those other nations guarantee healthcare for their citizens. And we've been told this whole boogeyman story of like, ooh, spooky, scary universal healthcare. And I'm like, well, I hear all of the arguments that people make against it. I hear people saying, oh, you're going to wait forever. There's not going to be enough providers. You're not going to be able to get a specialist. Hear me out. If every other country around the world offers this, can we not look at what works really well and what doesn't work? Learn from what doesn't work, take the best of each of the other systems that does work, and move from last in healthcare to first as America. We Americans pay the most for healthcare around the world, and we have the worst outcomes. That's unacceptable. We can look at Switzerland. They have a system that has nonprofit insurers that are overseeing their system. We can look at Germany. They have a hybrid system where everybody has basic healthcare, and then if you have the means and if you need it, you can pay for add-on healthcare. There's so many different models that we can build from and take from. So I want to look at what's working internationally, and then I want to look at what's working locally on a smaller scale. There's some really, really cool pilot programs, some of them right here in New Jersey, that we can learn from and then scale nationally. So for instance, a lot of people aren't aware, New Jersey is the only state that guarantees our system of care. And by that, I mean our children in New Jersey can get behavioral health services from infancy to, the time they're an adult. In every county. So we have Monmouth Cares, and my son is part of this system. He benefits from it. Why don't we have that everywhere? A. And then B, let's look at New Mexico. New Mexico just made headlines because they're going to give universal childcare to their citizens. And then let's look at New York City. Zohran Mamdani, in like a few days of becoming elected mayor, was able to work with the governor and get universal, 3K and 4K, pre-K for all across the board. These things are possible. I am tired of hearing that's just the way it's always been. No, there is a better way, and we deserve that, all of us, regardless of our party. So that's what I'm doing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. All right. Well, that is just about our time. Do you have any closing statements that you'd like to make?
I encourage anyone who is watching this, first of all, to reach out to our campaign if you have questions, if you would like to volunteer, if you would like to donate. This is going to cost a lot of money, but for me, if we look at, like, for instance, what's going on right now in New Jersey 11 for the special election, just last night at like 2 a.m., I was following it. And so one candidate, Tom Malinowski, he's a former congressman. He was endorsed by Andy Kim. He had a lot of big money pouring in. He raised over $1 million in like 2 months. And then you have Ana Lilia, and she raised a little over $400,000, but she had serious ground game. She had volunteers knocking doors. She had a strong social presence. And it looks as though Ana Lilia is going to win. They're literally going to be down to like counting every single mail-in ballot to like see, because it's like a razor line edge of who is going to take the final seat. But what I want people to understand is A, it costs a lot of money to do this, and B, I need the entire community to come together and do this as a team effort. If everyone's pretty much fed up with having had the same representation for 45 years, which, by the way, Chris Smith is tied with 2 other members of Congress for having served the longest. We should probably look at term limits, okay? I'm just saying. He was elected 11 years before I was born. Think about like Gen Z. They're, in their 20s. He has been in office like double their lifetimes. That's unacceptable. You've had 45 years to do whatever it is that you wanted to do for your community. If you haven't done it by now, step aside, please, sir. Please visit peace4sure.com. Peace is my last name. Don't forget it. 4, that's our district. And obviously we live at the shore, peaceforsure.com. You can sign up to volunteer. You can make a donation, and also reach out to us. You can email connect@peaceforsure.com with any questions or concerns. You can get in touch with Frank@peaceforsure.com. And, we are happy to talk to any of you and all of you about your concerns, what issues you're seeing here on the ground at the shore, and how we can be public servants if we are given the honor of representing all of you. In the meantime, I know that the Monmouth County Convention is Saturday, so please share this video with any delegates that are your friends or your neighbors. who maybe haven't had a chance to get on a call with us, join a forum that we've joined, join the one that we just did ourselves, gotten any of our text blasts, gotten any of our emails. Like, we're doing what we can to reach everyone, because again, that's the whole point of this, right? We want to reach everyone. And that's how we're going to do this together. So thank you for joining this call. And I have a few more minutes. I know we said we were going to jump at 12:30, but if there's anyone on the call right now who would like to ask a question, pop it in the chat or DM Frank, and I will just stick here for a sec and see if there's anything I can answer for anyone. Do, 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 do. Da, 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 da. Okay, going once, going twice. Hopefully, I talked quite a bit, so hopefully I answered any questions you may have had, but I hope that I've earned your vote if you are voting in the convention on Saturday. I hope that you'll share this with your fellow delegates, and I hope to work really closely together as we move towards the primary and ideally the general, to get better representation for the Jersey Shore, because there is a better way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day.